He told me I was too stupid to understand science. 20 years later, I stood at the front of a university lecture hall and watched him realize he was sitting in the audience, and I was the one with the microphone. What happened next ensured he'd never teach again. If you've ever been underestimated, betrayed, or quietly disrespected by someone who thought they were untouchable, this story is for you. Hit subscribe, tap like, and stay till the end, because this isn't loud revenge, it's the kind that ages perfectly. Let's dive in. This story starts in the 1990s, back when emails felt revolutionary and long-distance relationships required actual effort. I was in college when I met Jake. He was 23, already graduated, brilliant, at least on paper, and headed across the country for a PhD in animal sciences. By coincidence, fate, or pure statistical weirdness, my own post-college plans landed me just 90 minutes away from his new university. We bonded fast. Same humor, same values, same dreams. The kind of relationship where you tell people, I just knew. He had siblings, 2 sisters and a younger brother who welcomed me instantly. I became part of the family before I realized how fragile the foundation actually was. Jake lived with 2 roommates, fellow grad students. Money was tight, but life felt rich. Cheap tacos, movie nights, animals everywhere. He bred small animals, legally mostly, and because he was a PhD student, it all felt normal. I even became friends with his advisor's wife, Mary, a warm, sharp woman who worked at the university and treated me like family. Everything looked perfect, until it wasn't. 2 years in, we're in bed, comfortable, intimate, vulnerable. And out of nowhere, Jake says it. He's concerned I've gained weight. Not for my health, not out of care, but because it made him less attracted to me. My body didn't freeze, my mind did. I'd gained maybe 10 pounds, still the same clothes, same size, same person. I sat up and calmly said, well, maybe don't feed me crackers and cheese every weekend. No yelling, no tears, just clarity. I asked him one question, the kind manipulators never expect. So what are you going to do about it? He had no answer, because it was never about my body, it was about his cowardice. 3 months later, the call came. He wanted to break up after nearly 3 years. The reason? You don't know enough about science. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was insulting. He claimed he couldn't talk about his work without dumbing it down. I knew instantly that was a lie. A month later, when he came to return my belongings, I confronted him, and the truth finally spilled out. He'd been sleeping with one of his undergraduate students, 19 years old. He was 26, and his teacher. Her name was Meg. The room went silent. Then everything made sense. The weight comments, the emotional distancing, the sudden breakup. He wasn't cruel, he was weak. After he left, rage drained out of me, replaced by stunned laughter. Because Meg, she was a size 18, and suddenly I understood. He didn't want me to lose weight, he wanted me to leave. Because men like Jake don't end relationships, they sabotage them and blame the fallout. And that realization, that's when the story really begins. I emailed his roommates to say goodbye. They told me everything. They'd known about Meg, they'd forced him to tell me, and they were furious with him. One of them, George, offered to help me retrieve my things, and casually suggested I come up for the weekend. I agreed. That visit wasn't about revenge, it was about closure. Or so I thought. While Jake was gone, George let me into the house, and as I walked past the animal enclosures, something clicked. Jake had animals he wasn't legally allowed to have. One endangered species unregistered, another animal illegal in the state entirely, breeding conditions that violated multiple regulations. So I did what any observant, underestimated woman does. I documented everything: photos, angles, conditions, proof. Then I went out drinking with George. We laughed, we stumbled home, we were loud. Jake saw me, and I let him. That night felt petty, immature. I thought that was the revenge. It wasn't even the beginning. The next day, I developed the photos. Then I called Fish and Wildlife. By the end of that week, officials were at the house, confiscating animals. George cooperated fully, Meg panicked, Jake was unreachable. By the time he arrived, the damage was done. They returned with warrants. Everything was taken. Everything. Jake had just received an EPA grant, federal money, so I made another call. He lost the grant, had to repay nearly $30,000, and was barred from receiving federal funding ever again. Then came fines, then charges, then the university investigation. Sleeping with a student, abuse of power, ethics violations. He lost his scholarship, lost his teaching role, lost his PhD path, all without me lying once. I moved on, got my own master's degree. Ironically, my career became translating science for normal people, doctors, governments, museums, even film studios. The thing Jake said I could never do. Meanwhile, he scraped together a master's degree with his father's money, married Meg, had kids, bred animals quietly. And for 20 years, I said nothing. 2 decades later, I'm lecturing at a major university, 250 students. Afterwards, a voice says my name. It's Jake. I don't recognize him, or rather, I pretend not to. The moment stretches, and when realization hits him, I smile politely, then walk away. That should have been the end, but fate wasn't finished. At dinner, faculty mentioned they're considering hiring Jake. I scoff, casually, and say one sentence. I'm surprised he's still teaching after what happened at University X. That's it. Background checks followed, old files resurfaced, complaints, arrest records, ethics violations. Mary, my old friend, called me laughing. Jake didn't get the job. Again. 20 years later, I didn't scream, I didn't threaten, I didn't lie. I just told the truth and let time do the rest. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud, it's patient. If this story gave you chills, hit like. If you believe karma sometimes just needs a gentle nudge, subscribe and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying long-term revenge you've ever witnessed? Because some stories don't explode, they echo.